Welcome to Uncontained episode 123. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render. On the show today, I have a return guest. That's right, Johnny Pena is back. You may remember him from episode 61 of Uncontained, titled Bad Motherfucker. And there's a reason for that. He's an ex-narcotics agent for the FBI, ex-deputy sheriff, and now he is a pothead comic who likes to dabble in kickboxing and bodybuilding as well. If you check out his Instagram, you can see some of his fights and also see him deadlift 500 pounds. Now, this interview, you may hear some background noise because, well, I interview him right before he goes on stage at the Englander in San Leandro. So you'll hear some crowd noise, some people coming through and all that good stuff. But his show, very interesting concept. The first responders of comedy, made up of him, an ex-narcotics agent / deputy sheriff, a former paramedic, and a former firefighter as well. All three of them had great stories and great material, and you should definitely check that show out if you get a chance. We'll talk a little bit more about it during the show, and also why he believes police officers and other people such as paramedics and firefighters should be able to smoke marijuana. Yes, so the boys in blue should be able to smoke green. We'll get into that during the show. And why wait any longer? Let's kick this off. Johnny Pena right here on Uncontained. How are you doing today, Johnny?
Excellent. Thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, of course, man, of course. And so you have a show tonight. We're talking right before that here at the Englander in San Leandro.
Yep.
And the concept for the show is actually kind of cool. You want to explain the first responders of comedy?
Yeah. So it's the first responders of comedy, and basically what it encompasses is myself, ex-law enforcement. We have an ex-medic, ex-paramedic, and then we have an ex-firefighter, right? And so pretty much the premise is we're all going to share funny stories from the job, things that we've been through, and then find a funny way to put a twist on it and make people laugh. You know, I think that there's a lot of tragedy in these types of careers, right? We've all experienced certain tragedies, like the gentleman who's going to be performing, who's the firefighter, Billy O'Connell. He was there for 9/11, right? He was in New York for 9/11? Yeah, he's a New York firefighter. He's like 70 years old. He's also an ex-bookie. He's also an ex-alcoholic. Like, the guy's got some stories, you know? And so everybody's going to hear the other side of it, right? The same with the medic. I mean, obviously you can guess what a medic deals with on an everyday basis, which is people getting fucked up, you know? Nobody calls the medics unless they need them.
Yeah, nobody calls the medic and be like, hey, I have a splinter, or hey, you want to go to a show?
Yeah, can you get a sticker? Yeah. And then obviously myself, you know, everybody hates cops. Nobody calls the cops because they want to call them. They call them because some bad shit happened.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much what we're going to talk about. You know, we're just going to kind of like share some stories, and then we'll dive into a little bit of our own personal comedy probably after that. But yeah, that's the premise of it. And I think we're at a weird stage right now in society where there's like a dividing line between like public and like public safety, right? Like, nobody trusts the cops right now.
Okay.
You know? And so I think like we're trying to show the human side of it, you know, the human side of public safety, that, hey, look, we've all been through this job and it's not as easy as people think it is. Like, it's actually really hard, and it takes its toll on you, you know?
Yeah, I remember in our first interview, you were talking about your experience working for was it the DA?
Working for Bureau of Narcotic Enforcement. Yeah.
Okay, Bureau of Narcotic Enforcement and the coroner's office.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's some pretty dark stuff. How do you find the humor in that?
Oh, you have to think back to like each individual like scenario, and, you know, routinely when you deal with something like death,
yeah,
right, the best way to like get over it is to crack jokes about it. So like if we were out at a car accident and like, you know, somebody passed away during the accident, we would have to find some way to like crack some jokes and make it funny, you know, because that's how you have to like, you can't just suppress that feeling.
Okay.
You know, it's not a natural feeling to like see a body all twisted up and bent in half. You know, it's actually kind of awkward.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So you find a funny spin on it, like we had a car accident where these guys got in a pursuit from CHP, and then they wrecked their car, and it was a bunch of gang members, and one of the gang members, as they were running, he was hanging out the window throwing gang signs, right? And so as they were wrecking, they flipped over and ejected him out of the car. And so when he died, like his hand was still in that, holding that gang sign. And we're like, man, he held that thing like forever, like till death. Like that guy was hella down, like that was funny. Like we had to make jokes about it, and pictures may or may not have been taken, but that's just like one of the ways that you deal with it.
So in a way, is it kind of like in Super Troopers where you're out there joking around on duty?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay, so that's I don't know if I want to necessarily say realistic, but like as far as Super Troopers goes, because it is a comedy, but how close is it to that?
It's pretty close. Like if you get it, like when I was working narcotics, I had a team. It was 6 of us, small team. And we did everything together. We did search warrants. We worked undercover. They were my rescue guys because I was primarily undercover because I looked like a piece of shit. And so those are the guys that you count on every single day. But you start building this camaraderie, and then you start playing pranks on each other, like gluing. Like I glued my partner, everything on his desk, I glued it down to his desk, everything. Like I even glued his portfolio holder that he had his search warrants in. I glued it closed, and he was freaking out because he had to go get it signed by the judge, and he couldn't get it open. Like I glued it shut. And then one time he left me at a search warrant. Like they just left me in a different town. They just thought it was funny, and I had to like take a taxi home. Like that's the shit that we did. It was
okay.
All in good fun.
All in good fun. Yes.
Like they took my protein powder and filled up all the drawers in my desk with protein powder. Like everything's still in my drawers.
Would you say the best prank that you pulled was gluing everything down, or do you have a better prank that tops that?
I think, So what I did was we had a guy from a small agency, Gilroy. He started with us, and so he was pretty straight and narrow. And so he started in our task force, and he brought 2 brand new boxes of business cards that his department had paid for him.
Okay.
And so I pulled all the business cards out. You're talking like 1,000 business cards. And I stapled every single one of them together, and I made streamers out of his business cards. And I decorated his office with his own business cards. Yeah.
So you decorated his whole office with his own business cards, making streamers, kind of like deck the halls with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a little welcoming party.
All right, perfect, man, perfect. So can people expect to hear stories like that during your stand-up comedy?
Yeah, I tell some stories about that. I tell some stories about when we were doing a lot of search warrants and stuff. We were all working out, because like everyone's A-type personality. We had a gym inside of our task force office, and so we were all taking PreWorkout.
Okay.
And it was when PreWorkout used to have that ingredient that was like pretty similar to meth.
Fen or whatever it is that people were dying from?
It was like a Del-methyl, but I guess like a Marine and a Army guy died from it, so they took it. But so the pre-workout we used was Jack 3D.
Okay.
And this was when Jack 3D was good, right? When it made your palms sweat, And so we'd be sitting in our van, all loaded up, getting ready to do a search warrant, and we wouldn't even mix it like in a mixer cup. We would each just take a scoop and put it in our mouth and then drink some water. So by the time we got to the search warrant, we were high, like we were wired out of our mind. So when you like go to do your search warrant, you walk up all tactically and quiet. We were like running to the house, and our commander would like lose his shit and tell us what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why are you guys always like going so fast and kicking down every single door in the house and so aggressive? It's because we were high. Every single one of us was wired out of our gills.
Basically tweaking off of pre-workout.
We were all tweakers, yes. Tweakers out of our gills, yeah.
But you did it legally, so you didn't have to bust yourself.
It was for health reasons. It was pre-workout, right?
There you go, yeah. so you could do your job better, right?
Exactly. Very, 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 very clear on our job, yeah.
Yes, it's in the description.
Yeah, so. You don't sleep for a couple days, but it's okay. You drink through that, right?
Yeah, and then, well, at that time, you probably couldn't make yourself tired with another substance.
No.
Now.
No, you know what? And speaking of that, I really think that I hope that the federal law, the federal ban on marijuana gets knocked down like they're trying to work on.
Yeah.
Because I think that cops need to smoke weed. Like, I think that's something that they need to do, because at the end of the day, after you've, tried to resuscitate a kid who dies, or you go to a car accident where people are all fucked up, or you deal with some tragedy, it's pretty hard to go to sleep at night.
I can imagine.
So what's the best option? Is you either drink yourself into or black out, right? You drink until you black out, or you take some pills, and you become pill dependent.
Yeah.
And that is like the crippling effect of, I think, public safety. Like, there's no other option. It's you're either a pill junkie, or you're an alcoholic, or you become fucking weird, because you don't take anything. And I worked with people who found the Lord, and that's a whole another issue by themselves. These
different
Bible
drug.
thumper, yeah. But yeah, I think that cops, especially, and people in medical professions and first responders, I think they should be able to smoke weed. I think that it's helped me tremendously. Instead of drinking to go to sleep, you just take a few hits off your pen, and then let your mattress wrap its arms around you and slowly hush you to sleep.
Exactly, man.
Or take a little bit too much, and then your mattress tries to kill you, but
and won't let you
it
out in
won't
the morning.
let you go. Yeah. Then your mattress tries to rape you, but
Raped by Serta or Sealy.
yeah, those little sheep, those little bastards.
Once you're done counting them,
It's a gangbang.
it's their turn. Bah. Now that we got into bestiality. Yeah, man,
so-
I agree. I never really thought about that, that marijuana would be beneficial for police and other people involved in stressful service jobs like the paramedics and stuff like that. So that's really cool. And you were about to say something before I started saying
I don't know.
that.
I don't know. But I smoke weed, so yeah.
Marijuana affects the memory.
That's what they say. I don't believe it. But yeah, that's what they say. I mean, you forgot your SD card. I don't know what the fuck I was going to say right now. So.
Yeah, I actually had to run over to CVS and grab an SD card to make this happen. And yeah, I got my workout for the day.
Yeah.
Jogging to CVS.
Yeah, so I mean, I've used marijuana as a way to not depend on alcohol, because that's what happens when you're working law enforcement. Or for me, that's what happened, is you start depending on alcohol to, one, decompress after some major incident, whether it's like a shooting or a search warrant or something. I worked undercover, so at the end of the day, I'd have to get my adrenaline down, right? Because I'd be jacked up from buying dope off of drug dealers and cartel people. So the best thing to do is just go to a sports bar and drink 13 beers and have some chicken wings, and then pass out, and then get up the next day and do it again.
Yeah, man, that's... I can only imagine the stress of that job. With all that's going on right now, especially be stressful. All the shootings and stuff like that are in the media. And what is your view on the way that cops are portrayed in the media right now?
Well, I think it's two things. I think one, it's the media puts an evil spin on it. It's been proven that they only show portions of clips, which is the worst portion of the clip.
Yeah.
They don't show everything that led up to that person getting their ass beat. They only show the person getting their ass beat from 15 different angles. And so it looks really bad. And you see that a lot. You see that a lot. You don't see the parts where, I just saw a video the other day from Live Leak of a cop rescuing two kids from a car that was sweltering at 105 degrees. They're not showing that. But they'll show a cop punching a person. Punching a person, regardless, I'm not saying that it's right, because you don't always need to punch somebody. Sometimes people need to be punched. There was a time when you said, hey, stop what you're doing, put your hands in the air. And people would stop what they were doing, and they'd put their fucking hands in the air. Yeah. And now they just pull out a cell phone, and they put you on Facebook Live, and then they just start talking shit to you. That has to be frustrating as a cop. Where's the authority? There's no authority. There's no respect. So I think part of it is frustration. And then I think part of it is just the generations, millennials in general. And I'm sure some millennials are going to get really upset with me. but I think that they're weak, right? And so many things have been, I guess, knocked down that they don't have to deal with adversity as much, right? And what I mean by that is like let's say like bullying, right? And I see this with my own kids because I have 2 teenagers. You cannot in any way, shape, or form like bully another kid, which I agree with. You should not bully another kid. But that means just making fun of somebody. Like if I make fun of you at school, they're like, you're being a bully, and then now I just got expelled for being a bully.
Yeah.
That didn't even give you a chance to defend yourself, right? So now you don't even have that ability to talk shit back, or to try to defend yourself, or to even get in a fight. When you used to get in a fight, you used to get suspended. Now you get expelled, no questions asked. So now you see these 2 generations of millennials going up. Some break off and become criminals, and some break off and become police officers. So now you have these police officers who've never been in a fight, and they've never been punched in the face, and you have these millennial kids who no one's ever talked mean to them before or instructed them to do something with any authority. So 1, they're not going to listen, and then 2, this cop who has never been in any type of like real fighting situation, he doesn't have that A-type personality, that classic personality, that law enforcement used to have. And so let's say somebody punches him in the face, he's probably pretty quick to pull out his gun and shoot somebody because it's very shocking to get punched in the face. Like, I know because I fight, and I always go into the ring with a plan until somebody punches me in the face, and I totally forget what the fuck I was going to do because it hurts, right? It burns, your eyes water up, it makes your head ring, and we've gotten away from that. Like, there's no more street smarts. Remember, like back in the day, there used to be people would have street smarts? Yeah. It's not there no more because everything is bad. You can't say certain things. You can't classify certain people. You can't do anything that's deemed as evil or mean. And I think it's starting to have a huge rippling effect. And even in the law enforcement, I think that like the cops today are a little soft, and I think that they can't deal with people bad-mouthing them. Yeah. Like people used to call us pigs and this and that, and you're just like, whatever. You don't punch that guy in the face, and if you tell somebody to get on the ground and he doesn't, you don't choke him until he's unconscious. You just take him and you throw him on the ground. Like you get your hands dirty, right? Yeah. And I see more and more now, like on these videos, like cops don't really get their hands dirty. They just start beating the shit out of people. And I don't know, it seems kind of weird. It seems there's 2 extremes. It's either do nothing or go crazy.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I can actually kind of relate that to, like, see, I have a dog, okay? And when we were training our dog, one thing I heard was, like, you have to let her stand up for herself. Yeah. And, like, because if you stop a conflict every time it's about to start, they don't know how to finish it. Right. They don't know how to either get out of it or, like, leave the situation, or if they have to stand up and fight, they don't know how to do that either.
Yeah, no conflict resolution.
So yeah, now these cops being like babied and also the criminals being babied as kids. Stop me if I'm wrong on this right here. Once they get into the situation, they've always had somebody to break them up and pull them apart. Right. And now that they're not there, that's when shit happens.
Yeah, it goes bad, right? It goes really, really bad. And I can tell you now, like I have a 1-year-old, and so I take my kid to play with other little kids, and my son's there, and he's 1, and there's another little boy there, and he's 1, and the other little boy like grabs my son and like throws him on the ground and knocks him down. Well, right away, everybody tries to jump in there and be like, oh, no, like, sorry. I'm like, it's okay. Let them work through it. Like, they need to figure it out. Like, my son needs to get up and dust himself off, or shove that kid away a little bit, create some space. Like, let him know, like, hey, you're in my bubble. Don't come in my bubble, and we don't do that no more. There's no conflict resolution. Yeah. It's just everybody's feelings get hurt, And I remember when I was a kid, like, my dad used to tell me, if you get in a fight and you don't defend yourself and you just get beat up, then I'm going to beat your ass when you get home. I don't think that happens anymore. I don't think parents tell their kids that,
No, because you get human services called on you.
Yeah, right.
Child services, And the beauty of what you were saying about your son at 1, getting pushed down by another kid and like, you know, let them settle it, is they're 1 year old. They're not really going to hurt anybody seriously. Nah. Like, they might cry a little bit, but how much damage can a 1 year old do even to another 1 year old?
Yeah, they're on a rubber floor. Like, nothing bad is going to happen to them, you know? They're just, maybe one might crap his pants. That's about it, you know? But yeah, you know, it's very interesting the times way everything's kind of going. Like, it just seems like there's so much intervention with everything that nothing's left to like work itself out. You know, and so nobody knows how to like talk things out. You know, it's just a bunch of screaming and yelling instead of like actually developing a dialogue and like talking something out, having a good disagreement. Like debate class. Remember when they used to have debate class?
Yeah.
Just like the teacher would stand there and two kids would just badger each other and talk shit about subjects they knew nothing about. Like, that was awesome. That was the best thing.
Oh yeah. And I like to argue too much too, so and I would have been really good at that class, but
yeah.
But yeah, well, I'll do one more thing to rip on millennials a little bit, and then I'll move on and start talking about your comedy. Yeah. You know, it's the whole thing with the participation ribbons too. Yeah. All right, it's they don't know how to lose.
Yeah.
So if eventually later on they're told, "Oh, you lost," they're like, what? I tried, but trying isn't winning, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I can speak to that because my kids are both, they're both athletes, you know? My teenagers, my son and my daughter are both wrestlers.
Okay.
And I was a wrestler in high school, so they're wrestlers. And, you know, like I tell them, there's no difference between working hard and winning and working hard and losing, as long as you worked hard both ways, right? Working hard is the key component there. But I expect them to work hard, fight your way through that whole thing, even if you're getting choked or you're getting uncomfortable and stuff like that, you know? And so the problem now is that they offer these ribbons and these medals all the way to like 8th place, you know? And like, I'm like, my kids, you know, if my daughter or my son had a bad day at wrestling, which is, it happens.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Dad, I got 8th. I'm like, yeah, we're not sitting around waiting for that fucking medal, right? We're not hanging that 8th medal up on the wall, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, that's it, right? Like at 4 at the most, because you're not giving them any type of anything to strive for. You know, that little kid who's counting knots on the bleachers and barely mopes onto the mat and doesn't give it any effort. That kid shouldn't get a ribbon. Yeah. You know, he needs to like get yelled at by his dad and he needs better coaching, you know, and same thing with like kids that play baseball, you know, the kid that's way out there in left field who's getting at butterflies and picking dandelions and letting the balls go over his head. Like, that kid shouldn't get a ribbon. No. You know, he should get spanked and told to get to work. He's soft. No, I mean, I'm a very competitive person. Obviously, you've seen my Facebook and my Instagram. You know, I like to fight and I like to power lift, and I try to instill that in my kids. It's that not everything's a competition, but everything is kind of a competition. Like, how are you gonna succeed in life when the person next to you is competing, even if you don't know it? Yeah. And I say that in my comedy, that every time I pull up to a stoplight, the guy who pulls up next to me, we're racing, even if he doesn't know it, we're racing. Like, that's just life. Like, that's a guy thing, you know. To me, that's me, and I think that we're losing touch of that. We're losing touch of that competitive edge. Everybody should get a place at the table. No, everybody shouldn't get a place at the table. If you are not contributing, then maybe you need to do something else, or work a little harder. Like, there's something to be said for working hard. You know?
Definitely.
And the benefit is winning. You know, I mean, if I would have competed in that kickboxing match and I lost, but I still got a ribbon, I would feel like a retard. You know, and I know retard's not politically correct.
You can't say that on my show.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm offended.
Yeah. I meant I would feel a little stupid, right?
Like, you can say fuck nut.
Oh, fuck nut?
Or
okay.
Like,
can I say
dipshit?
Fucktard?
Fucktard's acceptable.
Okay.
But yeah. Just don't say retard, you retard.
Yeah. I would feel like a fucktard if I got a ribbon and I didn't win, you know? And my kids are sitting there watching me. So that was added pressure for me. So when and that's the first time my kids have actually seen me fight. So taking them there, I was like, man, I cannot get knocked out in front of my kids. Like,
That'd be rough.
they'll never listen to me ever again. You know, like, where's the scary? I mean, I know I look scary, but where is the intimidation if that big dude just mopped me all over the mat?
Exactly, you know, like you go to your room, be like, oh, I'm going to call whoever you fought and
they're
have
like,
him come over. He said I don't have to go to my room.
Yeah,
Screw you, Dad.
whatever, Dad. Why don't you go run a couple laps? You looked a little winded over there on the mat. Yeah, so that's I agree. You know, that we need to bring back some competitiveness. I think competitive edge. You know, I think they feel like everybody should have like a uniformed, you know, everything for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, I guess that's okay, but then where's the competition? Where's the healthy competition? Competition is healthy. We need that. That's how we survived for thousands of years that the human race has been here.
Yeah, who cares if little Timmy gets hurt?
Fuck little Timmy, okay? Timmy needs to man up. But it's like, how does my tribe beat your tribe over there? And so that I'm more successful in this area, right? It's through competitiveness.
Yeah.
I killed more buffalo than you. You guys suck, you know? Now you're going to starve. I'm sorry. Go pick
Very
berries.
true, man. Very true.
Go pick berries. You're now vegetarians.
You are now gatherers.
Go gather. Go farm.
We will hunt.
We're the hunters. You're a gatherer. Yeah. Go pick corn, man.
All right. So we're talking about competition here. How do you take that competition and competitive edge and apply that to your stand-up?
Well, you know, I compete with myself in stand-up. Like, comedy is pretty competitive, as you know. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird because people will bring you on their show and they want you to be funny. But it seems like if you're too funny, it's like, go. I ain't gonna invite you to my fucking show anymore. Go do your own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to see that. You know, I'm still pretty new at this thing, and luckily I haven't run into that too much. Like, everybody I've worked with has been pretty awesome and helping me get shows and stuff like that. Get headlining gigs. You know, I headlined the Improv. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without somebody like Jason Rogers helping me out from American Me Comedy. So all these things have helped me. But so the way that I've used my competitiveness is like, listen to my videos, look at my jokes, re-look at them, and then now I'm starting to put some organizational touch to them, and trying to be better than the last set. Is how I'm doing that. I'm just trying to be better every single time. And so I record every single one and try to think like, okay, that one was not as good as the last one, or this one was better. I'm getting better, So I think just constantly measuring myself against the last one.
So are you more competitive against yourself than others, or?
I think so because everybody around me, I think I would like to see. There's plenty of spaces at the trough, you know. So I would love to see everybody, do great in comedy. Of course, I wish it for myself. But yeah, it's like with wrestling. Like when I tell my kids, wrestling's not a team sport. It's two people on the mat. So if you lose your match, it's because you lost against the other person. Not because anybody on your team lost. It's because you lost.
Yeah.
So if I have a shitty set, it's not because the person before me did bad or the person after me. It's because I did bad and I dropped the ball, or I got nervous, or I forgot, or I smoked too much weed, or I drank one too many beers, or I had a bad day so I just wasn't in it, So I just try to think like, okay, how can I be better than myself? Basically, it's how it is, And then I look at the one thing I do look at is I look at the headliners. Like when I perform, if there's a headliner, I do want to try to like get more laughs than the people that are headlining. That is my goal. It's I do want to get more laughs than other people, and not that I want them to do worse than me, like as far as like comedy wise, but if I can get the crowd to like bite on my shit harder, then I feel like, yeah, okay, like I'm getting there,
Yeah, and I think that's healthy. You're not like wishing that, oh man, I hope they suck, I hope they bomb. You're like, I hope they kick ass, but I hope I kick ass more.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah, I hope I kick everybody's ass in the room.
Yes.
And then
And if you don't make them laugh, you'll just kick their ass literally.
Yeah, and like, you know, with hecklers, you know, that's, to me, that's like the most competitive thing. If somebody starts heckling me, like, my goal is to win against that guy.
Do you get heckled much?
Sometimes.
I don't
Sometimes.
see people really wanting to step up.
It's few and far between. It's few and far between, but I've been heckled, and luckily I've prevailed. I did have a guy who wanted to fight me at a brewery that I did, and then when I told him that I wasn't, like, I said, look, dude, I'm not like your average comic. Like, I will beat the fuck out of you after the show if you want. And then he decided he didn't want any. But to me, that's some real competition right there. If you want to make a mess of my show, then I'm going to try to hurt your feelings while you're sitting there in front of your family and your friends.
Make you wish you didn't open your mouth.
Yeah,
man.
make you wish you shut your mouth and make everybody embarrassed that they're sitting with you, you know?
Because there is etiquette going to a comedy show.
Yeah,
You know?
and I get it. You know, I get it that people want to be funny and make their little comments, and I'll take it for a little bit, you know, but when you start, like, really derailing the show, then I'll say something. And more times than not, no one's really, like, heckled me, but they heckled, like, let's say, like, the comic before me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's somebody who tried their best to, like, stick with their material, but they got derailed and it kind of fucked up their whole set. Then my goal when I get on set is that guy who heckled him, I'm going to call him out and I'm going to make fun of him the whole time. I'm going to throw my whole set out the window and I'm just going to make fun of that guy the whole time, even if nobody enjoys it.
You will.
Yeah, I'll enjoy it. Yeah. And usually people do enjoy it, you know, because everybody thinks that guy's an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and like most of the time, unless the comic really sucks.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the crowd is on the comic side.
Yeah.
They paid to come see the comic perform, and not some guy like talking. In the background. You know, it's easier with the crowd on your side.
It is, and like I got to do a guest set with Amir K in at Harvey's Improv in Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
And so he happened to have a heckler. Right, and so I did my guest set fine, and Grant Cotter did his set, and then Amir K went up, and he got this like total racist fucking redneck heckler who was just talking shit because of Amir K's ethnicity.
Yeah,
and
guessing like Middle Eastern.
Yeah, and
right.
Amir K tolerated it for a little bit, and then he just went off on this guy. He went in on him, and it was great. It was great to see. I was like, yeah, that's what we like to see. Somebody who's like a true professional up there, and then just hand somebody their ass. And then the guy got escorted out. So not only did you get your ass handed to you, you had to get walked out.
Yeah.
And your friends stayed.
Like, fuck it, I ain't going with you. You should wait outside.
No, yeah, he was so embarrassing. Even the rednecks were embarrassed of him.
That's pretty bad, man. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, all right, you've been doing comedy for how long now?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years now. When I first talked to you, it was like shortly after you started.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your first time at is it the Improv?
It was at Rooster Tea Feathers.
Rooster Tea Feathers. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you're talking about your first time. Now, from when I first talked to you to now, how far have you come? Like, have you received your, say, first paid gig? Or what's next for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, shortly after Rooster Tea Feathers, I did the Improv, and then I did a couple other shows with Phil Medina. Those ones paid, and then I jumped on with Rivas Dunlap at the Improv with his Raw Comedy tour, and then from there went to Jason Rogers, and then did that with at the Improv. So I mean, Improv's pretty much been like my mother's theater, right?
Okay.
My home base, and so it's been awesome. I mean, I've been getting paid. I've been doing comedy. I got to headline the Improv for the first time.
Nice.
Which was awesome. You know what I mean? Like that was like pretty surreal.
Did you get a rider and everything too? Where you like, I want Avian water.
Yeah.
Only green M&Ms.
I changed twice before I went on. Yeah. I pulled up in a fancy Uber. No, I went and I had a bunch of friends and family, and I had it professionally recorded.
Very cool.
Yeah. And my buddy did it. He did a great job, and so had a great show, great turnout. It was like 200 and something people there. So I felt, I was like, man, this is awesome, and I think like I could probably do this for the rest of my life. After I did that show, I did not want to go to work the next day. I'm like, okay, where's my next headlining gig? Oh wait, I don't have one. Where's my agent at? Oh wait, I don't have one. So, and then I got a headlining gig at a winery, and that one paid really well, and they liked it, so they're gonna have me back.
Awesome.
And then now I just jumped on with Kabir. I'm going to do Punchline in SAC. I've done that with him before. And then I got Tommy T's coming up. But I'm just trying to get as many shows as I can. Trying to hit open mics when I can. It's kind of hard because I have to fucking work every day, and I got all these goddamn kids, So I spend a lot of time in my car commuting, talking through my jokes.
Okay.
That's like my open mic time. And I think I'm hilarious, so it's working out. It's great. I wish I could do open mics every night, like every other comic. And everybody who I've worked or opened with, or who has given me advice, they're like, "It's all about hitting open mics all the time." I fucking can't.
Yeah.
Like I have a house and I have a job and I got kids. Like it just doesn't work out. So my thing is just talking through my sets, talking through my jokes, constantly writing. All my writing is done in the gym. Like when I'm
in the gym.
Yeah, so as you can see from like my social media, I work out a lot.
Yes.
And so that's part of the reason why I can't go to open mics because I work out. No, yeah. So when I work out, I'm thinking. I'm constantly thinking, and it's kind of similar to like, some people write when they're smoking weed. Because it opens up that creative doors, all those endorphins are going. But that's the same thing with like lifting. When I'm lifting heavy weight, like, you saw my video today, I was, deadlifting 500 pounds.
Yeah, I saw
that. Opens
That's
up many
crazy.
doors too, and that gets those endorphins flowing. And then you're able to like, I don't know, it gives you like clarity, and you're able to like think really clear. The same thing with like sparring. When I go spar after a hard day of sparring and kickboxing, the rest of the day is pretty clear, and I usually can do some pretty good writing, and I have 2 teenagers, so I just look at them for a half hour, and that's a fucking joke in itself, and so.
Now you're starting to sound like Bernie Mac. Earlier you're like, I got all these damn kids. And then
yeah, I do. I got a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 1-year-old, a little bit of a gap.
A little bit, just a little bit.
14-year-old gap, but it's, that's pretty much where I get my material. My material, a lot of it comes from my past career. A lot of it comes from my transitioning into tech, working in the tech industry, which is fucking weird. and then just having a family, and having a dad that was crazy. Like my dad was crazy, like he would hit us for nothing. And I mean, he's peaceful now. It's amazing. Like I'll yell at my kids and he's like, "Why are you yelling at them?" I'm like, "You used to hit us just because." He's like, "Yeah, but you deserved it." I'm like, "No, we did it. Like we weren't even doing anything wrong." He's like, "You did something.
I'm sure you did.
I'm sure you did. I was just at work." So he would hit us like just when he got home, like just a good old after the work beating, just to set us straight. But
I laugh at that, but that's kind of fucked up.
It is fucked up. But it made me tough,
Yeah.
So now where am I trying to see this thing go? Like I'm trying to put myself out there as much as I can. I'm trying to get myself into position to where when can I make this transition down the road? And I'm very impatient. So and part of my impatience has gotten me where I'm at, because when I first started doing open mics at Rooster T. Feathers on a Wednesday night, my 4 minutes of fame, my first thing was, okay, how do I get at the Improv? And people were like, you got to be doing shit for like 5 years before you go over there, And then I just emailed a bunch of emails, and then I got some guy who said, yeah, come on in. And then I did it, and he was like, how long you been doing comedy? I'm like, 2 months. And he's like, what the fuck are you emailing me for? I'm like, I don't know. I saw your email online, so I emailed you. He's like, yeah, you shouldn't even be here right now. But that's how I got my foot in the door.
Exactly.
So now, yeah, I'm only 2 years in. That's pretty new, right? When you're looking at like comedy years. But my next goal is, okay, how can I get representation now? How can I stop going to work every single day? That's my goal, right?
Amen to that.
I make good money at Google, I make good money there, but how can I stop doing that? Like, I don't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I want to like quit my job, and I want to be home every day during the week and smoking weed, and then just do comedy all the time. Like, that's the goal. So however I got to do it, I'll figure it out,
All right. So what steps are you taking to get an agent? Like, what have you done so far?
So I recorded my video
Okay.
of my headlining gig, and so now I'm just finding avenues to try to put it out there, trying to push it out there. I put it on Vimeo, and so now I'm just seeing who's going to bite on it, who wants it, you know what I mean, who wants to take a look at it, who's interested, and it's kind of weird because they say, like, you can't just contact an agent because they don't want to talk to you. They'll find you when they're ready.
Yeah.
That's what they say, but I'm like, I don't like waiting for people. Like, I'll find them, and then I'll ask them when I find them, hey, are you interested or not? So
Yeah,
that's kind of my route.
Okay. All right.
Kind of unconventional.
So in addition to that, do you have any, like, say, advice that you would like to give up-and-coming comics or comics that are maybe looking to take it from Rooster Teeth Feathers to the improv, whether it's after 2 months or 5 years?
Yeah, I think just set your goal, put the goal in front of you, something that you can see that's obtainable. Not just, I want to be famous. That's pretty far-fetched, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty far-fetched. Like, I wanted to go to improv, I got to improv. I wanted to headline improv, I headlined improv. I want to get representation. That's my next goal. So set steps that are, obtainable. Something that you can grasp onto it.
Smart goals.
It's not a hard thing. Yeah, smart goals. Something that won't cripple you. You don't want to be living in your car in downtown LA, riding roller skates at Sonic's just so you can try to get a fucking gig.
Yeah, they do have good chili, dog.
They do. Their blizzards are bomb. I don't know.
Yes. All right, yeah, that's definitely good advice. So, like, is there anything that you would have done different up until now? Like, if you go back 2 years from now, is there something that you're like, oh, shit, if I would have known that, like, then?
I probably would have started sooner. I think I would have started sooner instead of putting it off so long. It took me a while to make that leap, to actually do it, because it was just like, I'm going to get in front of people and, like, talk shit. Like, that's stupid. And I tried to, I guess, modify my work, because I didn't want to be too dirty, and I didn't want to say things that were kind of offensive because people don't like that nowadays. But you just can't. You can't hold back. Like, you just got to kind of be like you and let it flow out. And some people might get offended, and some people will like it. And then the people who like it are the ones that follow you, and the people who get offended are the ones who follow you and talk shit. So, I'm willing to take both of them as long as they're both following me, So I've kind of like upped my, created like a comedy page, pushing up my Instagram real hard, pushing up my Facebook and stuff like that. So just really trying to push myself out there now. And I think that I should have did that earlier on, but I'm catching up. Yeah.
That actually rolls right into my next question. What are you doing to promote yourself?
So I have my comedy page, Johnny Pena Comedy. I started making T-shirts, JP Comedy T-shirts. They say "Laugh Till Death." They got a little skull on them. And then I got stickers, and I'm working on creating a web page right now.
Okay.
I got my Instagram, so we're getting there.
All right, perfect, man. So is there anything that, like, you have found helped build a following?
I think just, talking to people. Obviously, social media helps a lot.
Yeah.
Tremendously. Social media helps tremendously. And then just, like, taking the time to, like, after shows, just chat with people and just go hang out and let them get to know you, and let them see that you're a real person, you're decent, even though you probably said some off-color jokes up on stage. It's just because it's funny. Like, that's it. It's not because I'm really hurtful or hateful in any group. It's just, I like saying funny shit, and I like making people laugh. It feels good to make people laugh, and that's it. That's what we're in this business. So, yeah, I think that's it. Just getting into this social media thing is the biggest thing, and doing stuff like this, like doing podcasts and trying to push myself out there as far as I can.
All right, very good, man.
Building a brand. I'm trying to build my brand.
Build a brand. Branding.
Yeah.
It sounds so easy.
I know, right?
All I got to do is, but Nike did it. Fuck.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm trying to build the Laugh Till Death brand.
All right. Hell yeah. Laugh Till Death. That might be the name of this show.
Yeah.
This episode.
That'd be
Laugh
awesome.
Till Death.
That's awesome.
I think we'll have to roll with that.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I know what you're going to say for this next answer, but you may surprise me. What is a highlight or two that you've had so far throughout your career that you care to share?
Which career? Which one?
Oh, through stand-up.
Through stand-up. I think like obviously headlining the Improv is a huge highlight.
That's where I figured there.
But I think just being able to work with a variety of different comedians from different areas, like working with guys who do this full time has been pretty eye-opening. Like these guys are out there just hitting comedy every single night. That's what they do for a living. And it's pretty like inspiring. Like, man, that's what I want. I used to want to do this on the weekends. I want to do this full time. Like, what do I got to do to get that? That's to me, that's been a big highlight, and I got to do like a music video, and I was in a jockey, like I put myself out there in some commercials and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah?
So, I'm coming in from all avenues, I'm coming in like the flu.
How'd you get into
there
the
is
commercials?
no vaccine for me, huh?
How'd you get into commercials?
I just signed up for one of those like casting boards, and then they needed a homeless looking guy, and so I got the part.
I could probably pull that off too. I got the scruff going.
I was
here,
a street musician, so kind of worked out because I actually play musical instruments. So,
okay, very cool.
Doing what I can to do, with balancing out not going to work on certain days and calling in sick a lot, and doing this stuff. So
Google, if you're listening, I'm sure every time he
I was
calls in
just
sick,
kidding.
He is sick.
Yeah, I was absolutely sick.
He had the microphone flu.
I was working from home that day.
Yes, doing security from home.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm a manager, so I was managing from home.
Yes. I have cameras all over.
Yeah, place is on lock. I got it.
All right. So now I have like two more questions for you before we let you get to your show tonight. I don't want to keep you past that. I know little time sensitive, but when you are performing, when people come see you on stage, what do you want them to take away from the show or remember about the show?
That, even something as serious and as taboo or frowned upon as like law enforcement is, there's funny in it, and the people that do it, the people that do these jobs, they're regular people, and they're dealing with the craziest fucking situations that anybody could ever think of, like seeing the craziest things. Nobody should see somebody's insides opened up, poured out, spread out over a highway, but we see it, and I think that's a lot of the things that people don't understand. So I just want them to take away that, hey, yes, there are some bad cops out there and there are some bad people, but in general, we're all pretty good. We just, we have a little fucked up sense of humor, and then the other thing is that, I'm just trying to get back to the way it used to be where you can just say whatever you want and people that find it funny can listen. The people that don't can turn it off, and don't take it personal. It doesn't mean that I discriminate or I hate any certain group because I make fun of them. It just means that I found something funny about what's going on. I don't put a little twist on it, and that's one thing I do in my comedy now is I look at a lot of current events and I try to put a funny twist on it. It doesn't mean that I have anything against what's going on.
Yeah.
It just means that I think it's funny,
And I think that is something that's important for comedy, to be able to speak what's not necessarily popular or politically correct. As soon as like all the social justice warriors are out there, like, oh, Amy Schumer said this, so Michael Richards just went off the rails, but I'm not standing up for him. But a lot of the other comics who say stuff that are jokes, little like with humor to them, not just snapping on the crowd. I want to make sure I'm drawing a line for myself there.
If I say something, a racial joke, and it's a joke, that's a joke. Now, if I get mad at you in the crowd and I say something racist to you, then that's a racist statement, right? And I think that's the difference. I mean, you got to look at like back in the day when people were making art and painting these art, they could paint like a titty on a canvas, right? With a little boy underneath it with his pee-pee hanging out. And that was fine. That was art.
That was back before they had clothes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they didn't, the loincloths didn't cover much. But I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, that would be like, because we say titty, I'm a dirty comic, it's art. Some people like it, some people don't. If you don't like the titty art, don't look at it. Walk past it at the museum.
Exactly.
Right? Go look at all the squares and the triangles.
The blurry shapes.
Yeah, go look at the blurry shapes,
dots.
right? Personally, I want to look at the titty art, right? So I think that's just
nothing wrong with titty art.
kind of my comparison. It's just, it's art. If you don't like it, don't look at it or don't listen to it. But you might enjoy it if you just open your fucking ears and close your mouth for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And now I'm in a debate with myself here, what to name this show: Laugh Till Death or Titty Art.
It's a toss-up.
It is. All right, so one more question left, but before we get there, where can people find you online? What's your corner of the internet?
They can find me on Instagram at PenaJ13. They can find me at Johnny Pena Comedy for Facebook. And I will have a webpage coming up soon, and I can throw that on there. And then it'll have Laugh Till Death on it.
All right.
Yeah, that's about it right now.
All right, very cool. Johnny, thank you for joining me again on Uncontained for the second time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I'm looking forward to checking out your show tonight right after we finish up this interview. But I have one more thing I have to do before we get to that, and that is ask you the title question of the show. So, Johnny Pena, how do you live uncontained?
By doing whatever the fuck I want, being very competitive, and just kicking ass in everything that I do.
Well said. Few words, chosen words wisely, and just nailed it right there. Final thing to do is sign off the show. Johnny, will you do me the honor of signing off the show today?
Absolutely. I think that in all seriousness of this world, we need to laugh till death because that's the only thing that's guaranteed. My name's Johnny Pena, and I'm living uncontained.
And enjoy the titty art.
Titty art.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Johnny Pena for revisiting Uncontained and meeting up with me right before his First Responders of Comedy show. So if you get a chance, check that out. I highly recommend it. And check out the show notes too, which you can find at uncontainedpod.com. There's a show notes link at the top of the page, which you can click, and then you'll find all of Johnny's contact information, social media, and thank you for listening. And as always, live uncontained.